Thank you for staying with us. So according to an online source, clarity of vision is essential for business growth, as no business can serve every master or in fact every customer. When there is a clear vision of who the business serves and what the problem the organization is solving, the business can direct its scarce resources to its priority activities. The vision of the organization is the consistent thread that weaves throughout the decision-making process, beginning with the selection of an appropriate strategy for the organization. Selecting an appropriate strategy is key. The organization which selects a strategy it cannot execute or deliver because of resource limitations or other factors is an organization which cannot achieve the maximum degree of success. An organization with the ability to distinguish between possible strategies and the strategy it is capable of delivering, even if it is a stretch, is an organization with a well-developed sense of awareness. What are the business growth strategies that you know can move a business from just vision to a successful operational structure? So please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp message to 0818-038-4663. Tweet at us at WasteShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WasteShow. Business owners, money, and Norma Efan.
That's the mogul, right?
We have the right people on the table today to discuss this topic. So I'll start with money because for the lawyer in the house, I think it's a huge leap for you to go from a practicing lawyer to setting up your own law firm. What was the vision that drove you? Because it must be a big dream to power you into that kind of thing. So what was the vision that drove you to that?
Okay, so transforming your vision into reality is a plan thingy. It's something you have to have different plans. It's easy to dream, like we talked about dreams or skills. Which one is easier? It's easy. Everybody dreams, you know. So they said, okay, for example, a place like America, everybody has this American dream that anybody can become somebody. So even the madman on the street can just have dreams. But what now differentiates the man with the dreams and the man who brings it to fruition is steps, action. So for me, I like to recommend Habakkuk 2:2 for people because visionaries who want to go into business. So it basically says write your vision down on paper, make it plain so that anyone that reads it will run with you. So for me, it's about knowing exactly what you want. Action your plans. So go into the market, have a target area first, know what it is you want to do, go into the market, get your market and industry plans, do your investigations.
Your research.
You understand, do your research, know identify your inputs, your outputs, identify your growth plan, your expansion plan, and long-term plans, you know. So once you put everything on paper, it becomes easier, and then you continue to check them to make sure that you're still on course. And you know, when we say taking it from vision to paper, to fruition, it takes a long process. So it's something you continue to do. So even when it becomes a reality, you still stay on it to make sure that there's still growth. There must be a long-term plan.
So let me very quickly before we bring in our guest. Norma is our communications buzz. So I think that there's one thing, Manny has talked us through that process of, bringing it to life. But how do you actually communicate it? How do you get your team to buy into
the vision?
The interesting thing about communication is that a lot of people communicate without informing, or they inform without communicating. Where communication takes place is where you are able to pass a message across, and then there is understanding that enables a person to take the desired action. So there must be clarity where you are going, and then you must be able to say it in simple terms that they're able to understand what the direction, and then there are steps towards getting there, and they can actually they have that understanding to be able to execute.
So you can be saying one vision,
and somebody understands a different thing and is running in a different direction, and that can cause division.
Oh wow! Okay.
I don't know if you guys saw this. I always use this as an example. There was this relay race they were doing in the primary school where children were running with the baton. So you take it and you pass the baton to the next
and
person.
Somebody took it
and someone
kept
took
running.
it and ran in the wrong direction. I was like, oh my God. So
somebody didn't
that's
get the plan.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So it's very important how you communicate the vision. So Ifeoma Monye is a seasoned strategist, project execution and operations management specialist with 20 years experience. She's an expert at guiding individuals and organizations in articulating their vision, building efficient processes and systems to drive optimal performance by providing them with the necessary tools to build sustainable institutions and legacies. She's a partner at Chuchi Consulting, an operations management consulting firm that specializes in the optimization of business operations through innovative strategies and consumer intelligence, with a focus on socio-economic impact. She is also the co-CEO, strategy and operations of the Lefodo Group, founded by Mr. Olu Jacobs and Ms. Joke Silva, where she leads the strategic organizational support and business advisory functions. As a certified wealth manager, Prince 2 and MSP practitioner, Ifeoma has successfully planned and managed numerous projects and programs in the UK, US and Nigeria in various sectors, including media, retail, education, real estate, financial services, healthcare, hospitality, non-profit and agriculture. Woo! She completed the general management program and key executive program both at Harvard Business School. Ifeoma has a degree in economics and political honors from the University of Essex in the UK. She attended the High Impact Leadership course at Yale University, organized by the Nigeria Leadership Initiative. She's the president of International Women's Society of Nigeria, a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants Nigeria, member of the Institute of Directors Nigeria, a fellow of the Nigeria Leadership Initiative, a life member of Women in Management and Business and Public Service, WIMBIZ, and a member of the Harvard Business School Association of Nigeria. That is a profile and a half.
Did you just read that from one person? Are we still talking about one person?
So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you for having me.
I don't even know where to start. I'm overwhelmed by how much you've done. I feel like you've lived like 10 lifetimes.
It's funny because even as you're reading it, I'm like, is this me?
So where did you find the time to do
I have
everything?
no clue.
Like you're a consultant, you're a co-CEO. I mean,
Super amazing.
there's still 24
These are
hours
the
in your day, right?
superheroes.
Yes.
You know?
Superheroes that we have in Nigeria.
So, I mean, it's wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you for joining
you.
us. I'm hoping that we get to learn a lot of things from you today because vision is so powerful.
Yeah.
Every company, so I work in customer experience, and the strategy for me is what is the foundation of the work that I do. But I find that a lot of companies, when I go in and speak to them and say, we have a vision and mission. So typically you walk in and it's displayed somewhere, and I say, okay, guys, what's the mission and vision? And there's a blank stare. Most organizations, people don't even remember it. In some places, they've been forced to memorize it, but they still don't know or they don't understand it. And more so, there's then that disconnect between what the vision is and the strategy, and even then understanding the strategy. So I'm going to unpack this statement, and let's start from the mission and vision statement of companies.
Yeah.
What should it do? What should it be? And how should it be utilized?
Okay, thank you. For vision, so again, I think part of the issue is we overcomplicate things. I like to keep it short and simple. So I always say KISS, keep it short and simple. If a 10-year-old doesn't understand it, then maybe it's too ambiguous. So the first thing is your vision is where you see yourself in X number of years. Where are you going? Vision is a picture you've painted in your mind, the founder of the business, and that's where they're trying to go to. The mission is why you exist. What is the company trying to do? What problem is it trying to solve? So the vision is, this is where we're trying to go to. So for example, with your law firm, our mission is to make life easier for clients in the law, with legal. The vision is we want to be the top 10 in 5 years, in 10 years. And then you walk there. Your vision is actually supposed to change so that when you get to where that picture, by then you have another vision.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So yes, your vision should change when you get there. The whole purpose is you're supposed to get there. Then what happens when you get there? You now come up with something else. Okay, I've gotten here. I'm number 2. I'm number 1 now. What next? It can even be a vision to make all my employees happy. That could be a vision. You know, so I think sometimes we overcomplicate it. Is really what is the picture you have in mind of what this company is supposed to look like, while the mission is what problem is it supposed to solve, and that why is the business existing. Really, that's what it's meant to be. I think you also mentioned something. One of the issues is that a lot of people, when they're speaking about their vision and mission to employees, is they talk about themselves and why they started the business. They don't talk about or paint the picture of where the employee sees themselves in the company and the part they need to play. So it's like, oh, it's somebody else's vision. So sometimes they don't buy into it because they don't see themselves in it. So it's important that everyone, even up to the security guy, understands the vision and the part they have to play in making that vision come to fruition. So that's so important.
So that then speaks to the communicating part of it. So how do you sell the vision in a way that we connect with it? I was going to say to now take it a step further to the strategy, but I'll let the ladies go.
Oh, no, okay, well, I was coming there because, I mean, that was so insightful. So how do you now take deliberate steps to communicate this way? Because you just simplified it right there. And there was nothing complicated about that. So, but why is it complicated for people? Why is there a complication between communicating your vision and people being able to run with the vision?
So a couple of things. It's one thing to have the vision and to craft it. It's another thing to understand the environment you're working in. So part of the issue we have is we have some grand plan. We say this is what we want to do. So for example, in Nigeria, I say I want to start a beauty parlor and I want everybody to pay 5,000 naira. What is the economy saying? What is diesel saying? So many times part of the issue we have is we have this great plan, but is it realistic for the environment we are living in? Our target audience, do they understand it? Is that what they want? Is that the way they want it packaged? So we need to understand our environment. We need to understand the people that we're trying to sell to. We need to even understand the issues our employees and all face to be able to communicate. So sometimes the issue is, it just doesn't make sense for our environment, or it's not the right time, or it's not the right packaging. So everything has to work together. It's more than just communicating it. If you're saying to someone, for example, another thing is, for those that travel abroad and all, they've gone on YouTube, they've seen something, then they bring it to someone who hasn't experienced it. How are they supposed to understand it? Yes, you haven't given them any customer experience, you haven't shown them a video. So you're just speaking over their heads. So it's important that they understand it and they buy into that vision and they see where they are. Another thing is, more than seeing where they are, how are they also going to grow? How is this going to benefit them? So it's important that people buy into that vision. So when you're explaining it, say, okay, this is where you play a part. If our business does well, this is how you will benefit from it. This is where I see you in 5 years. This is where I see you in 10 years. So you must carry everyone along. It's so important, and speak their language.
Thank you for sharing that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll pay a couple of bills and we'll be right back.
I like that.
So if you just tuned in, we are discussing business growth strategy, moving from vision to a successful operational structure with Ifeoma Monye. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation, send us an SMS or WhatsApp on 0818-038-4663 or tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WasteShow. So, Manny?
Yeah, so I'm going to come from the buying into the vision part. When we finished from school, we came out into the
real world.
The real world.
Like they used to say.
Yes, and we were looking for jobs and everything. Everybody wanted to work in Mobile, Chevron, Shell. Everybody had big dreams. So now we're talking about business, growing businesses. The people that come to work for smaller businesses, I believe they also had high hopes of working in Chevron and Shell. So now Chevron can't take everybody, Shell can't take everybody. They now have to come down to work somewhere before they get their dream jobs. So how do you get those people to buy into your vision when they already had eyes on the bigger targets?
On the prize.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think part of it is what we see it as competition, or people are trying to compete with the Mobile. is to share why, again, going back to that whole mission, is to sell that dream, the reason why you started. There are many people out there, when I do interviews, they say, oh, I want to give back, I want to work for an NGO. So it's to go back and say, look, oh, I'm not, you don't even need to mention you're not a mobile or all that. This is what I'm here to do. This is the this is what I'm trying to sell. This is why I'm trying to make Nigeria better, or the beauty industry, or the law, legal, and people, the right people will come. You're not trying to get everybody. You're trying to get the right people who will make your business grow and who will also grow from it as well.
Yes, because I watched, you know, when you watch different movies and you hear people talk, you just said something about NGO. There are actually people who want to work in NGOs because they want to make a difference. So they want to be part of something that is bigger than them. Yeah, so you said something just now about having the right people. So that's one of the challenges of this business and vision and mission. Because you think that the people, maybe the first people that come in
are the
right people, and it affects, it can affect a business owner when you have like a revolving door situation in your business. People come in and they leave because their eyes are set on something else and not yours. So I think it's very comforting to hear you say the right people. So meaning, even if it takes 10 years to look for your people, they will come, right?
Yes, but then again, a couple of other things. You need to also, if people are leaving, yes, we keep talking about Gen Z and not being able to sit down. There also might be an issue to say, okay, maybe I do have good intentions, but the people that are coming in are not staying. They might not be the right people, or there's something I'm doing that I'm not communicating that people are seeing the wrong way. So it's a bit of both. So you need to understand. Some people just want to stay for 5-6 months, put it on their CV. There's some companies that people just want to have on their CV and then leave. So it's to understand all that and say, okay, what are the ways I can get the right people to come and to stay? Sometimes, a lot of times we say in Nigeria it's all about money, but there are a lot of people where money is not even the motivation. You know, they want to, a lot of people want to feel valued. They want to see that they count. Do they have a say in the business? Do they have a say in how things run? Can they even say, oh, how do we improve stuff? So being able to have feel like a part owner of it is also important as well.
So I love that we've talked about the vision, we've talked about the people. Now let's move to how we actually do business, the strategy, which I think most entrepreneurs have a vision, they have a reason. Some people's vision is just to make money. But the strategy sometimes is, I find, where people also then get it wrong as well, because I often say, if your strategy is to grow, it's a very different approach from if your strategy is to be more efficient and save cost and save money. Either way, you affect your bottom line. It's just a very different way to go. So that's my own roadside definition when I try to explain what strategy is. But how do we get from that vision? So I've sold the vision. I now have the right people. How do I pick the right strategy for my business?
Fantastic question. So I'll give it a different way. Let's say I want to go to Abuja tomorrow. What is important when you're even doing your strategy? What are the resources you have and capabilities of your team? So I'll go back using the analogy of going to Abuja. There are different ways I can get to Abuja. I can walk, I can go by air, I can go by night bus, day bus. Again, all depends on my resources. How much money do I have? How much time do I have? Time is also a resource. Who are the people going with me? Is there a particular time I want? So you can have different strategies, but going back to your point is, what am I trying to achieve? Is there some time restraining factor? Is there a resource? So if I don't have enough money to go by air, maybe I'll go by bus, maybe I drive, you know, so these are all the different things you need to look at. So the strategy you will now choose depends on your current resources. Now, the issue most people make is they look at what they think they will get and plan their strategy based on that. But what are the current resources you have and the capabilities you have to be able to push the business in that direction? And then you create a strategy based on that. Now, you must also, like I mentioned, you can't just have a strategy based on what you think will happen or your intentions. You need to look at your environment. So we have what we call the pastel. You need to know what's happening in politics. In a day, your business can end just from a policy.
Absolutely.
So you need to understand government regulations, the politics around it, social, what is happening, how people even feel about your business. Is this something that's a taboo? Is it not? You need to understand that. What are the environmental laws or even things that are guarding your business, legal frameworks. So you need to understand all this, the economics of it. Do you need to borrow dollars? Do you need to get resources? So these are all the things that must go into your strategy. How are prices going to affect you? So part of what you had mentioned something earlier is you need to even have scenario planning. If I have to get certain raw materials from somewhere, and let's even say the East, and then because of sit at home or something, I can't get it. How am I going to be able to do it? So these are all the things you need to factor into the strategy. It's a moving document. So yes, you do have a document, but you must think of all the scenarios. What ifs? You have to think of risks. What if this happens? How am I going to be able to mitigate it? At what point do I say I stop? At what point will diesel get to before I know I have to close? So these are all the things you have to look at to say, this is what I have in, am I able to get a loan? Do I have to work with what I have? And then you have different phases. Okay, in this phase, this is what I'll do. When I get to X amount, or it can be turnover, it can be number of staff, it can be number of years you've been in, then we move to the next stage. So all these things must go, you must think of all that.
Your goal is the same, your destination is the same. But your strategies
depends. Your resources, your capabilities, yes.
Based on current
realities.
Interesting.
Wow.
Is it, so this document is living, breathing. It also has the same challenge. I mean, I know Pesta, I know SWOT, but you've just made it very relatable in the way that you've communicated it. So I see the gap also. We've created this wonderful document. It's a 5-year plan, it's a 10-year plan.
How do you move from
exactly.
So you
have
reality?
that plan, and maybe for a new entrepreneur, you've done that. How do you start to build the structure? Because as you were speaking, I was hearing there's legal, so you have to have a legal team. Right. There's risk, you have to have a risk team. There's people, you got to have HR. But you may not have the resources for all of that. So how do you start to break it down into milestones where I can eventually get there?
On a small scale.
Yes, you don't necessarily have to have the people, but you have to have thought it through. You have to, for example, you don't need a lawyer. When in your business, no, don't worry. I'm not saying you don't need a lawyer. I'm not saying you don't need to go and hire a full-time lawyer. You can, for example, go to a firm, outsource it, or you get someone to do your legal documents and all that. But you don't have to necessarily even have HR at the beginning. Yes, in-house. Outsource as much as you can, especially in the beginning. But ensure that you have thought through it and that you have a plan for when certain things happen. Again, for structures, part of another thing that happens is that how we structure our businesses is also important. I'll give another example. I can't say that I'm fast. I'm doing a restaurant now, and I say I want to be cheap and fast. Then I'm set up like a fine dining restaurant. Have staff, and it takes your process, everything must go with your endpoint. So the same way you can't say you want to do fine dining and then you're set up as a fast food. Everything, your organizational structure has to fit
and align.
Exactly. So that's a lot of a problem I see here, that we have some idea because we've seen someone do it a particular way. We start and try and do that, but I now say, but what you're trying to achieve is completely different. Why are you set up like this person? So we need to understand that also has to fit. So you have to have processes. For example, going back to the business, if you're doing something that's standard, how do you ensure that you keep getting the same product? You must have the same process. Let's say it's making bread. You have a process so that no matter who comes in, they are making the bread the same. We won't say today, it's because it's this person that made it. That's why it's like this. It has to be the same. Same thing I say, like even when you go to a bank, there's certain things that are in place. You've never gone to a bank and they say to you, oh, sorry, because this person is on leave.
We can't give you money. We cannot attend to you.
Certain processes must be in place that they don't even know who's back end or what is happening behind. It's the same product or service they are receiving.
What you just said is really true, because you go to some restaurants, you like their food, you go there like 2 months after, it does not taste the same, and they tell you the chef left. Like, really? The chef left? So imagine if like a business like
formula,
Coca-Cola.
Yes.
And they've been losing staff and we'll be drinking
different versions of Coke. You just touched on something. And I like the fact that I saw operations management somewhere in yours. So let's keep following this road that we're going on. So I like the example of the fast food restaurant. So if you think about the genesis, I think of the McDonald's story, how we got to the quick service restaurants. In every business, I believe there's a way to be more efficient. So when we start to look at, okay, I've documented the processes, which by the way, most people don't, which is the problem, but I've even documented the processes. How do I continue to improve? How do I look at where are my bottlenecks? How do we start to traverse that?
Fantastic. So you see, it's going back to also the employees as well. You're not going to be everywhere. You don't know what is happening. So for example, using the restaurant example, you don't know, you need to understand what happens when someone comes to order. What are they facing? So you have to go through the company and say, for each employee and each touch point, where are the issues? How can we do it better? So you need to have some sort of feedback mechanism that even the employees are able to say, look, we're doing it this way, but can we even do it in a better way? Or this is what I think, this is where we have an issue. So you must keep having that feedback to say, okay, this is how we can do it. Also customer surveys, know how can you improve, what is it they want. You're not going to always please everyone and you can't get everything, but you need to know what is important and what you're not going to compromise on.
Excellent.
Wow. So back to the employees, because that's where a lot of businesses have problem, and communication. So we have a lot of people, you have that vision, you probably have, like, let me take for example the fine dining, right? You have this setting that you want to portray in what you do, and you have all of, and you've probably trained your staff. This is how we set the table. This is the kind of ambience that I had a friend who once had a store, and she wanted the feel of when you come in from the heat of the sun and you come in, it's a cool environment. And every time she comes to her store, she finds out that the air conditioning is off, and the staff, and she's asking why, and she says, oh, I'm feeling cold. So, and even though you've communicated that, or for example in the fine dining where you want to set up, and then you come in, you see all different colors of Chinaware, and these are training that you've had for your staff, but it seems that there's a miscommunication. How do you build a formidable system that continues to drive that vision that you have,
whether you're there or
you're there or not? Because we talked about the McDonald's, we talked about, you know, these people that have Coca-Cola, you know, those that have had this in place. But it seems like in the Nigerian context, it's very unique. The challenges within Nigeria, the people in Nigeria, is unique, and it's more difficult to achieve that here. So what are your thoughts towards that?
So two things I'll mention based on what you said. The first one is the reward system and motivation. I'll come back to that. But again, it's important your staff have, your employees have that experience. I'll give you, going back to like fine dining, I was watching a documentary once on Claridge's. Now, every single staff member of theirs spends a weekend in Claridge's as a customer, so they know, they feel, they go through what the customer expectation is. That way they understand what they need to deliver. So sometimes they don't know any better. So if they haven't experienced it, they don't know. So the lady that has this issue, has she ever thought about buying her staff a cardigan?
Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking.
Maybe that's all she needs.
Do that. Yes.
So sometimes that's because they don't know any better. Maybe the lady hasn't had AC anywhere else or her life, so, and then so for her it's a new experience. So maybe gradually build her into it. But then going back to that, there's another thing is, in any society, I always say, look at us Nigerians. We keep saying, oh, Nigeria, everybody is broken down society, but we're the same Nigerians. When we go abroad, we don't have to behave. Why? Because the system works. If we go out of line, we will be punished. So it's the same thing you do in your company. There's a reward system and there's a penalty system. If you do this, X happens. And you ensure you follow through. But when there are no consequences, everyone does what they want. So it's important that you have a reward system and an incentive system so that you also motivate people to do the right thing. But at the same time, if they do the wrong thing, there's a penalty for it. That's so important, that everybody knows what is expected and what will happen if they don't do the right thing or they do it.
Being consistent.
Exactly.
Because there's one thing for you to put these
things in place, but follow through.
So you have to have a governance structure.
Yes.
But As with every great conversation that we have on this show, the time flies by really quick. So we're literally coming very quickly to the end of the show. I'd like you to just close off for us a couple of minutes. It's always what we can leave our viewers with. We've said a lot today, and sometimes paint by numbers is easy. So here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. If you could just give us that very quickly, vision to structure to the end point.
Okay. I'll say, first of all, you have a vision. Why? And I'll say, question your vision. Why are you doing what you want to do? Like you said, sometimes, let's even be honest, it's money. I need money. Then the next question is there any other way you can do it without doing what you're doing? Because it's important to validate why you're doing what you're doing. So you come up with that vision. Realistically, how long do you think it will take you to get there? Then you also need to assess your current state. What do you have at this point? What are the resources available to you? What capabilities do you have? Do you even have the right skill set to be able to deliver on the product or service? That is so important. Then who are the people that you can that will attract? One thing I always say, if you have the right product or service, money will find you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's ensuring that you're not doing something because somebody else is doing it and making money. I always say if you don't even have an idea, first thing you will look is, where is there a problem that no one yet has solved? And then how can you come in there and fix it? But if you have a great idea, money will follow you. So it's ensuring that you have the right idea or service or product. Once you've come up with the vision, again, you don't even necessarily need, there are different toolkits now, especially with the online, you can find different free toolkits to help you. What are the different steps you need to take? Break it down. I always say break it down. So if you have a 5-year, 10-year. Another thing that we didn't really discuss, but and I want to focus on is ensure you know your target audience and your target market. Most times people feel because their family and friends like it, that people, then they start a business.
Yes.
So it's important that you validate that. Ask them, why do they like it? It's sometimes it's psychological, it just reminds them of something, or because it's you. So make sure you're fulfilling a need, and that no matter what, people will buy. So you need to know your target audience. You can't say something like women. What type of women? What age range? What? How much are they earning? Will their earnings, if they change, affect the business? So you need to validate all these things. Is your business only on the island? Is it only in Lagos? Is it only in Nigeria? So you need to go drill down and look at it and say, truly, is this person my client or not? Who is not your client? It's also important to know who's not your client. Right. Many times we try to serve everybody. So you need to know, no, this person is not my client. So that when they come to you, you can nicely and graciously say, sorry, I'm not able to serve you. It's really important. But most times, because we're trying to get the money, we're trying to serve other people, and then that could cause problems down the line. And you'll be like, I knew I shouldn't have gone for this person. So it's important you know who your target market is, and you're able to speak their language. You know their pain points, because that's what is important, to be able to get them, because you understand their need. That's also important.
Wow.
And yeah,
I think you've taken us through a masterclass in business. So this is like a validation of that profile. But as we always say on Ways, we never let a fantastic guest go away without assuring them that we would love to have them back. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much, Manny Money. Thank you so much, Noma. It's been an awesome conversation. But before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. Remember to like, share, comment, and please invite your friends and family to watch and follow us. So if you missed today's quote, here it is again. You must either modify your dreams or magnify your skills. It is Friday, so we will see you again on Monday at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Have a good evening.